Hello and welcome back. I'm Randy Bueller. I'm now joined by Steve Menendian. Congratulations on the 3-0, man.
Oh, thanks, man. I really had to earn that one. Wow.
Yeah, game one looked like you were down to the last point of life.
Oh my God. Game one was crazy. I I knew I was gonna have to cast Doomsday there,
Yeah,
and and I knew I was gonna have one life. And in my hand, actually, I wish you guys could see my hand. I tried, like heck to try and get that all set up.
yeah, we'll get it
But
for next week.
my hand had misdirection and mental misstep. And so I knew I was going to be able to win through if it was force of will and he had force, I wouldn't have been able to protect anything. So the one misdirection won me, I think both game, potentially won me game one, but certainly won me game three.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
I spent
Did you see his when he forced the will on turn one of that game, he had a choice as to whether to pitch a lord or to pitch a curse catcher. And he chose to remove the curse catcher. So on his last turn, he played the Lord that he'd chosen to keep, which basically put you to one instead of putting you to like three. That one curse catcher would have actually beaten you, right?
Definitely. I actually I have to go back and look, but I think that that's probably the case.
Yeah, I couldn't see any way for you to play around curse catcher there. There's not some other pile, right?
Well, that was a pile that I've never made before.
Really? Ever. Why? What was it?
Okay, so
well, you're right. You made it with a brainstorm. Why did you make it with a brainstorm instead of an ancestral?
So I I spent way too much time today trying to figure out Doomsday piles with brainstorm, just in case it came up, in case. And the way it was set up was that if I ancestral recall, I wouldn't have enough resources. So here's the first thing. When you cast brainstorm, it really matters how many cards you have in hand.
Sure.
And I had Thoughtseize, mental misstep, and misdirection. And because I expended his whole hand, I think he had one card, and it was completely tapped down. He had one card in his hand.
Yeah.
So I knew I was going to lose to Daze if he had Daze. But with brainstorm, I figured I made a bunch of piles. In fact, I've got like all these little sheets here that I made today. Just like all these sheets I made with brainstorm.
Love it.
Piles today, and I came up with some really funny piles. But the pile ended up being. Let me see. I have it written down here.
But what's the trigger that makes you want to? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say is the reason brainstorm is better than ancestral is because you can brainstorm twice. So it's all about your library size, and that was the only card because I had ponder. Him wastelanding me really scared me. I thought.
Oh yeah, it turned off Gush. Obviously, that was huge.
Yeah. And I thought it turned off Gush, and I also didn't have a land in hand. I drew the land, and I pre-ordered the turn before into Demonic Tutor and Black Lotus, and I was very close on keeping the Demonic Tutor on top. But as I was working through it, I was like, this doesn't really do anything unless I'm going to go the will route. So I'm just going to bottom the Tutor, pop the Lotus, put it into play, and I drew an Underground Sea. So a lot of things had to go right for me. Yeah. But the pile I ended up making was. I got it here somewhere. I off the top of my head, I think it was actually Brainstorm, Black Lotus, Lotus Petal, Yawgmoth's Will, Laboratory Maniac.
Yeah, that was the pile. We had that figured out that pile, except we had an Ancestral instead of the Brainstorm.
Did it work with Ancestral? Does it work?
Well, I didn't know which cantrip you had in your hand. You had what, Preordain or Ponder or what?
Ponder. Yeah, Ponder.
Oh, you had Ponder. If it would have Preordain, it would have worked, but maybe Ponder.
Yeah, because the Ponder, the reason everything had to sort of fit into place perfectly. Because here's why. Here's Preordain probably would have worked actually because I would have to bottom the two cards I put back with Brainstorm and then draw the third. But the thing that finally triggered it for me is I realized that when I play, well, first of all, I had to have enough cards in my hand to put back on top so I could draw all three cards and hold all three cards. And so I put back the misstep, which I couldn't cast anyways, in the Thoughtseize, drawing the two Lotuses and the Will, and I floated the 4 mana, cast Will. Then post Will, I knew I'd have 1 extra in addition to the 4 I was going to recoup from my graveyard, so it'd be 5 total. I could then cycle into the Maniac cantrip win. But that was a pile that basically hinges, I think, entirely on Brainstorm. Racking my brain to try and figure out how to do it with Ancestral. Well, there's just no solution.
I'm not sorry for slowing you down. I feel like I'm missing something. Or maybe if you ponder, so you had Ponder in your hand, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. So you ponder to get the top card. Let's say it's Ancestral, and you cast Ancestral, and you draw Petal, Yawgmoth's Will, Black Lotus. Play the Petal,
Right.
play the Yawgmoth's Will, play the Black Lotus. Can't you just ponder out of the graveyard to draw the Laboratory Maniac at that point, and then Ancestral for the kill?
No, I think that works. I have to think about it.
So you were
Let's
showing
see.
off what you're telling me.
Yeah. No, actually, well, yeah, maybe I overthought it. I really
I'm not
thought
sure.
that.
I think it works with an Ancestral because I
Let's
think
see.
the Preordained just lets you. You have to play the Preordained and not the
Yeah.
Ancestral, obviously, to draw the Lab
So,
Maniac as the last card. But I think it works.
so go through it one more time. So I ponder into the Ancestral. I play Ancestral. I draw Lotus, Lotus, Will. I play all of them. Yeah. I think that's right. I think what had happened was I couldn't figure out. I wasn't able to sort of figure out how to get to enough mana to both play a cantrip and play the Maniac post Will until I realized to put the second Petal in there.
Yeah, the Petal was
above.
key. That's we thought you were mana short the whole time, and then we realized,
Yeah.
Petal. So
That's
awesome deck.
breakthrough.
So many different options with that deck. It's really, I mean, I feel like it's one of the most decision-intensive decks in literally the history of Magic. I mean, and it's been like there've been different permutations of the deck over the years, but man, I love a good Doomsday deck. I see you're sitting in front of the Mox Jet
great.
painting you won when you won the Vintage Championships.
Yeah, the sheer quantity.
Did we lose him? I'm pretty sure that is the Mox Jet painting behind him, by the way, that he won for winning the Vintage Championships, beating Rich Shea in the finals, by the way. Maybe that will turn out to be a premonition. Certainly see. Hopefully we can get Steve back online and talk to him a little bit longer. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys in the chat think? Is he going to run Doomsday again? Too much fun not to, right? Certainly a very cool deck. Very cool deck, combo deck. I wasn't expecting it. I know that if you go back and watch the week 1 coverage, actually, he's playing his first match. It's against Dave Williams. You sort of see blue-black. He plays sort of a lot of the normal sort of blue and black cantrippy cards you'd normally see. And then when he cast the Doomsday, my eyes just kind of bugged out. That was definitely a cool moment there. Yeah, I'm trying to see if we can get Steve back on the line. And what am I playing? I'm not going to tell you what I'm playing. I don't know. I'll have to look at it. I'll have to see. So my opponents, I've got this. Definitely been looking at it. I play Ephro, Martel, and Dave Williams. So all three of whom seem like people who would just switch. Like I can't imagine. I mean, obviously, I know there's 2 Merfolk decks there is one way to look at that run, right? Ephro, Dave Williams both played the Merfolk deck, but they're not going to stay on the same deck. There's almost no chance those guys stay on the same deck. I mean, unless they're like next leveling and only staying on it because they think I'll change. I mean, maybe I try to make sure I don't play something that gets blown out by Merfolk, but it's not like either of them ran the table, right? It went 2-1, 1-2. They kind of put up a 500 record. I guess Merfolk wound up 1 game over 500. Null Rods wound up 4 games over 500 for whatever that's worth. I don't know what I'm going to play. Definitely content with the Merfolk deck that I just ran. I mean, I put up a 2-1. I'll take it. I'm definitely content to be 2-1 at this point. Oh, welcome back.
Thank you.
Not sure what happened there. Oh, no. Whatever it was, it seems to have happened again. Yeah, I content with the Merfolk deck. I would think about the Merfolk deck, but I mean, a lot of it really does come down to the matchups. And I don't know what those guys are going to do. I mean, there's certainly a chance Martel is telling the truth about Dredge. All 3 of them have a pretty wide range. I mean, all 3 of them are good Magic players who are capable of piloting any number of different decks. So, I don't know. I'd like to think I'm also capable of piloting a lot of different decks. So, I certainly have a bunch of them put together. Let's see what I'm going to do.
Randy, I'm here. I don't think you can see me, but I can see you.
Oh, great. Well, all right. We can talk to you with a still picture. Although I was just complimenting you on the Mox Jet painting that you were sitting in front of.
Thanks, guys.
That's the one you won. That is from the Vintage Champs, right? You won what, 2007?
Yep. Can you see
was that over Rich Shea in the finals too?
It was.
What was the deck matchup?
We were both playing Groatog.
Oh, okay. Groatog was a big thing back then.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. People, I think, know you mostly as, that vintage aficionado guy who's been around forever. But why don't you tell people sort of who you are, sort of what you do when you're not crushing people with Doomsday decks?
Well, I'm still a little flush from what just happened.
Fair enough. That was a cool
But
match to win.
I'm a lawyer by profession, and
Okay.
I work at UC Berkeley right now. I'm the assistant director of an institute there, and that is called the Haas Institute for a Fair and Inclusive Society. We do a lot of sort of advocacy and engaged scholarship work. So it's really cool. We've got 90 to 100 different faculty clusters. I have an academic position. 90 to 100 faculty in our clusters. It's really cool. I love it.
That does sound cool. So day job as a lawyer and just still been playing Magic basically forever, yeah? How far back do you go?
I think I first played a game of Magic in roughly December of 1993.
Wow.
My friends had some Arabians cards that had just come out. And, you never forget those early cards.
Oh yeah,
They
everybody's
really
favorite set is the first set that came out when they started playing, I think.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And I stopped playing Magic only because Wizards actually phased out Type 1. So, it's like I couldn't go to tournaments anymore. And when I got back in, I was like, let's rev this thing up. And now it's great to have Vintage on Magic Online. It's funny because you see like all the people who like love Vintage, they're there. And, I could log in at any time of the night and I'll see Rich Shea playing games. I love it.
We're going to see you at the Eternal Championships again in October?
Definitely. I've got my flight booked. I'm flying in Friday night. Are you going? You're slated to do this thing, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I'm going to be doing commentary for the Eternal Champs. I'll do both the Vintage and the Legacy Championships. So Eternal Weekend, it's going to be in Philadelphia. It's October, forget the exact date. Is it 17th, 18th, or 24th, 25th? One of those. I don't know. It's a weekend in October. You can look it up online. And, Nick Koss did a great job with that last year when he took that over. I know he's going to be running it again this year. I am going to be flying out to do commentary. So I'll be in the booth all weekend long.
Maybe we can sling some games in person. Randy,
I've been known to bring a deck to that event. I had a couple of decks built last year.
So I have a challenge for you, Randy. I want you to build an old school Magic deck.
What do you mean?
So old school Magic is the coolest format. Well, let's say it's a close runner-up to Vintage.
Okay.
There's a group in Sweden that created this, and they call it 9394. And what it is you can only play sets up through the dark. Some people allow you to play Fallen Empires. That's what we do in Northern California. And the Sweden group is really hardcore. You can't play Revised, and you can't play any reprints. You can't play Chronicles, and you can't play any reprint of a card that was originally in those sets. You have to play the original ones. And what they did was they took the original Type 1 banned and restricted list, and they changed it. So they restricted Mana Drain, they've unrestricted a bunch of cards, and they used the modern rules. And it's just so flavorful. It's so fun. A group of guys are going to be playing it. So I'll send you the link to the 9394. If you just Google 9394, you can see the banned and restricted list. It's so much fun. I let people play Revised and Chronicles and Fallen Empires, but it's an incredibly fun format.
No, that sounds cool. Yeah, definitely send me the link. I will put something together. So what are you looking for in the rest of the Vintage Super League? What do you think happens in week 4? I mean, I know you can't tell us what you're going to play. I think I've been watching the chat. I think everybody's hoping you're going to stick with the 3-0 Doomsday deck, but certainly curious to hear your take on whatever you are willing to talk about.
Well, my first matchup is Chris Pakula, and Chris is 3-0. So it actually, I think we're the only 3-0s, right?
Yeah, I didn't realize that. We do. We have the last 2 undefeateds fighting next week. That's awesome.
I suspect, and I don't want to, I'm sure Chris will be watching this, but I don't want to prejudice his opinion, but I think there's a good chance he'll stick with his choice. I mean, if you go 3-0, I'm not going to say how that impacts my decision, but I'll let you all figure that out. I think I'm playing Rich Shea in week 5, and he's going to probably tweak his Slaver deck.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine him not playing Slaver again.
Yeah, he loves that deck, and he's so good with it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's a master. So I'll probably need to play something that has a good game against his Slaver deck. And then I think in week 6 I play LSV. I expect he's probably going to play something blue again. So I'm not gonna. I'm on the fence on what I'm going to do, but definitely sort of thinking through, trying to figure out, what's the psychology here. What are folks going to make there? How are they going to position themselves? The critical question is in my mind is what's Chris going to do? LSV is probably just going to play another blue deck.
Sure.
If he doesn't play Pyromancer. What do you think? What do you think Chris is going to do?
Wow. I mean, on the one, I don't know. It's got to be tempting to stay with the workshop deck, given the 3-0, but people are going to hedge against him. I don't know. There's so little workshop, though. I don't know if people can really afford to load up on workshop hate.
So
it's definitely a tricky metagame when you get this few people in it, right? You're kind of placing these pseudo bets on what you think people are going to react to and what they think you're going to do, and the second level thinking is tricky to work through.
I mean, if you taking the matchups aside, my sense is that, especially in the last 3 weeks, if people are sort of on the edge, I mean, no one's going to want to be the last place player, right? So that's
I think the most important position in the league is 10th. That's the guy who doesn't get invited back for next season.
So I think if we were sort of in the last week, I think people who would not be inclined to play workshops would probably switch to workshops just because that's, no matter how unfun it was, just so they don't get last place. So I think that we're going to see a metagame shift to more workshops in general. But the trick is that I'm not sure if my matchups are going to be the workshop matchups, except for Chris. So, if I was in the tail end here, I would expect, probably more workshops than in the next 3 weeks.
All right.
So, yeah.
Good time to talk to us. I know. Good luck next week. We do have congratulations on the 3-0, and we will have the last 2 undefeated players colliding in week 4. It'll be Steve Menendian against Chris Bakula then. 4 more matches queued up for you as well, so we hope everybody will come back. 7 p.m. Pacific time. We'll be right here on the Magic Channel. We will see you guys then.